Hello and welcome back to the channel. Welcome to another episode of TEW 2020 WWE as the final stretch of road to WrestleMania continues. March week 2 now. Two more episodes after this before, as you can see from the schedule in front of you, we have the official match card, the special preview show, and then the two-night spectacular that is WrestleMania 38. Continuing on though, focusing right now on this week of action as we continue to build up to WrestleMania. Of course, starting off as usual with another episode of Monday Night Raw, which gets underway as advertised last week with the WWE Hall of Famer Goldberg making his way out to the ring, ready to make an announcement. It's been advertised and Goldberg gets on the mic and he thanks the fans. He thanks the fans for their support all those years ago, for their support when he came back, for their support through all of this, but now is the time. He says he came back to wrestling because he wanted his son to see him, to see who he was. He was Goldberg. He wanted his son to see that, and his son has. And he couldn't be happier or prouder that he got to do that for his son and so many children around the world. But it's time for Goldberg to hang up his boots. It's time for Goldberg to retire. He thanks the fans for everything, for their support, for cheering him, for booing him, for all of it throughout his entire career. WCW, WWF, WWE, all of it. He thanks the fans and he says it's time for Goldberg to go. For 73 years, yes, Matt Riddle interrupts. Matt Riddle making his way out to the ring. Goldberg not looking too impressed, and Matt Riddle saying, "Bro, hey Goldberg, I mean, you probably heard me talking about you. You mentioned it, I'm pretty sure. And I hear you're retiring, man, and that sucks. But I'm just such a big fan, and I think these fans want one more match. Goldberg versus the original Bro, Matt Riddle." The crowd cheering, Goldberg kind of laughing, where he looks up at Riddle. He lifts the mic and he says, "Matt Riddle, you're not next." Before he drops the mic, barges past Riddle, and leaves the ring up the ramp for an 87. Matt Riddle issuing a challenge to Goldberg. One more match, and Goldberg saying no here. Matt Riddle, though, you have to think, will not give in on this. He wants this match with Goldberg, and will he be able to get it before Goldberg calls a day on his Hall of Fame career? As then we go backstage, speaking of Matt Riddle, to his tag team partner Pete Dunne with Drake Maverick. And Drake Maverick says he's been racking his brain and he's decided he wants Pete Dunne to represent him in the Battle of the Brands. He wants someone with that fire, that passion. He wants someone with that British grit that Drake says he has himself. And he can figure no one better than Pete Dunne. And Pete Dunne, not really bothered. And Drake saying, I know what you like, Pete. I know you don't really care, but I'll make it worth your while, okay? You represent me. You win Battle of the Brands. You help me keep my job. And I will give you whatever you want. I will give you a championship match of your choosing. And Pete, still kind of, I don't know. When MVP and Lashley walk in, and MVP kind of laughing and saying that, Drake, it's like you want to lose your job, man. Hey, come on. You want to win? You want to keep your job? This is the guy you want. You want Lashley to represent you. Lashley represents you at Mania? You keep your job. You win Battle of the Brands. Congratulations, Drake Maverick. But for his service, he will ask for the small fee of that when he wins that Battle of the Brands match at WrestleMania. Bobby Lashley will be getting a WWE Championship match. Drake not too impressed. MVP continuing, saying that, "Come on, Drake, you know it's the right choice. You don't want this pipsqueak Pete Dunne representing you. You can have this prime cut of beef like Bobby Lashley doing it." And Pete Dunne, what you say about me, mate? And MVP saying that, "You know what? I'll show you why you're making a mistake here with your choice, Drake. Later tonight, my client Angelo Dawkins will beat Pete Dunne and show you why he should not represent you at Battle of the Brands for a 65. Good little segment. Drake wanting Pete, MVP suggesting Lashley. Later tonight, Pete Dunne in action against Angelo Dawkins to show what he can do. As then we had the first match of this evening between Angel Garza and The Miz, as advertised last week. Garza defeating Frederick Fairchild in his return to Raw, and now taking on The Miz. Edge at ringside once again, scouting out his competition. Angel Garza, the two, of course, Hell in a Cell match at WrestleMania. In the end, Angel Garza picking up a win over The Miz with the wing clipper. 4-82, good match. 78 Garza, 72 Miz. Happy with this. Angel Garza picking up the victory. As Edge looks on again, a little unimpressed. As advertised, next week, Johnny Gargano will return. Johnny Gargano, of course, picked up an injury just before Elimination Chamber, but he will be back next week, and he's got a lot of challenges waiting for him. Daniel Bryan, Montez Ford among them for a 92. Johnny Gargano back next week. What will he have to say? What will the Intercontinental Champion have to say? As next up, we have the Hardcore Champion, Johnny's former partner, of course, Tommaso Ciampa in action against Tony Nese, and Ciampa, of course, picks up a win over Nese with a fairy tale ending for a 76. Good match. 83 Ciampa, 36 Nese, doing well. And then Tommaso Ciampa just grabbing a mic, shouting to cut his music. And he just stares right at the camera. And he says that, I am the Hardcore Champion. And I want my WrestleMania moment. And I'm going to take it. So I'm calling you out. You say you want someone to come knocking at your door. You say you want to fight. Well, guess what? Knock, knock, bitch. Because at WrestleMania, Aleister Black, I'll be waiting for you. For this Hardcore Championship, I'll be waiting for you. Because I want a goddamn fight. And you Aleister, I know you're one of the few people in this company who will give it to me. Ciampa throwing the mic down before leaving, issuing this massive WrestleMania challenge to Aleister Black for the Hardcore title. Will Black accept? We will have to wait to see. 86 for that segment, though. Very, very good from Ciampa as usual. As next up, we have that earlier announced match between Angelo Dawkins of the Hurt Business and Pete Dunne. And in the end, Pete Dunne picking up the win with the bitter end onto Dawkins for an 80. Good match. 59 Dawkins, 80 Dunne. Happy with this. Dunne gets his arm raised for MVP, gets in the ring, and says that, you know what, Pete? No. You think you're a big shot, huh? You think you're the business? Well, guess what? That smirk on your face. Pete Dunne, obviously not smirking or smiling. It's Pete Dunne just doing his expression, just kind of like, what are you saying? And MVP saying that it's going to get wiped off. It's going to get knocked off because next week you're going toe-to-toe with the CEO of the Hurt Business, Bobby Lashley. And he's going to tap you out. And he's going to show why he should represent Raw at Battle of the Brands. For an 83 next week, Pete Dunne versus Bobby Lashley in a big match, which will hopefully do very, very well as both men. Well, I mean both men. MVP wants Lashley to do it. Pete Dunne doesn't seem too fussed about being in Battle of the Brands, but we'll have to wait and see. As then commercial Sasha Banks comes out, talking about Io Shirai again, saying, of course, that Sasha Banks, you know what? As the leader of the women's division, she's going to put on a show tonight. She's issuing an open challenge to whoever is back there wants a shot at the women's world champion, the blueprint, the best, and the boss, Sasha Banks. Who is going to step up? Who is going to allow Sasha Banks to give a little preview for what's going to happen at Io Shirai at WrestleMania? And her open challenge is accepted by Sarai of NXT Japan, making her entrance 100 for this. Sasha Banks really good on the mic, not a surprise. Sarai accepting Banks' open challenge. Sasha Banks not expecting much of Sarai, to be honest. Underestimating her in the match, though. Sarai surprising Banks, giving it everything she's got, getting some near falls, but in the end, the Women's World Champ does overcome Sarai and pick up the win with a Banks statement for an 81. 87 Banks, 38 Sarai, both doing really well. But it's Sasha Banks who picks up the win, the Women's World Champ getting the victory. After the match, Sasha Banks not impressed. Going to attack Sarai when the music, of course, of Io Shirai hits. And she storms out to the ring. Banks goes to hit her with a towel, but Shirai ducks underneath, hits Banks with a Pele kick, and Banks going tumbling out of the ring as Io Shirai stands tall for a 91. Yeah, good pre-segment, good match, good post-segment. The Women's World Championship feud hotting up on the road to WrestleMania. As then we go backstage to Kayla Braxton interviewing Edge. And Edge, Okay, they're asking what Edge thought of Angel Garza's match tonight, and Edge says he has continued to be unimpressed, saying that Angel Garza's not in his league, saying that next week he'll show Angel Garza what real wrestling looks like for a 100. Great interview. Edge in action next week and promises to show Angel Garza what real wrestling looks like. We'll have to wait and see on that, as it's time for the main event between one half of the Raw Tag Team Champions, Drew McIntyre and Kevin Owens. Last week, Sami Zayn defeating Sheamus. And this week, Owens and McIntyre. If Owens wins, Zayn and Owens will get a Raw Tag Team Championship match. And in the end, Kevin Owens does pick up the victory. Drew McIntyre going for the Claymore. Kevin Owens reversing it into the pop-up powerbomb and getting the win for an 84. Good main event. 82 McIntyre, 90 Owens. Owens getting the victory. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn earn a shot at the Raw Tag Team Championships. After the match, Sheamus goes for the bro kick on Owens, but Owens ducks underneath, hits Sheamus with a spear. Sheamus going into the turnbuckle. Sami Zayn in the ring, hits the hell of a kick. Sheamus taking the kick, going over the turnbuckle and out the ring. Sheamus and McIntyre looking on from the bottom of the ramp at Owens and Zayn. And McIntyre and Sheamus pretty pissed, to be honest with you, for an 82. As it's time for the final segment of the night. The WWE Championship contract signing between Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly. Both men sit across from the table from each other. Both men sign the contract. And then Drake Maverick asks if either of them want to say something. Kyle goes first. And Kyle says that for years, before WWE even, before NXT, Adam Cole underappreciated Kyle O'Reilly. Adam Cole, his massive ego never allows him to see or appreciate what other people do. Kyle says if it wasn't him, it would have been Bobby, it would have been Roddy. The Undisputed Era was not built to last because in Adam Cole's mind, the Undisputed Era was built to do one thing, and that is to lift Adam Cole up. It was never a brotherhood. It was a goddamn vanity project for Adam Cole. And Adam, he wants to blame Kyle. He wants to blame Kyle O'Reilly for breaking it apart. Well, it's just a matter of time. Because Adam says that Kyle is not on his level. But he ignores everything Kyle's accomplished. Multi-time tag team champion. United States champion. King of the Ring final. Winning the War Games match. Going from number 1 and winning the Royal Rumble. Acting like Kyle O'Reilly has not earned this shot at WrestleMania. Kyle O'Reilly has bled for this business. For this moment, WrestleMania, the main event, the WWE Championship, Kyle O'Reilly is good enough and Kyle O'Reilly is ready to kick Adam Cole's ass and become WWE Champion. And Adam just laughing. And he says, Kyle, you're not impressive. You've never been impressive. You never will be impressive. You know what, Kyle? I kid. You are. It's impressive. One quality of yours is impressive. And that's how you manage to always attach yourself to someone. Because your career, Kyle O'Reilly, is much like the Titanic. It would have sunk a long time ago, but you find the nearest lifeboat. Screw the women and children. Kyle O'Reilly's getting on first, and you'll attach yourself to whoever will keep you afloat in this business as long as possible. Me, Bobby, Roddy, you've been doing it your whole life, Kyle. You've been attaching yourself to people better than you because you know you can't go. And you want me? You really want me, Adam Cole, to praise you? You need my respect that much, Kyle? Well, I'm sorry. You want to talk about your accomplishments? Let's talk about them. You won a second-rate mid-card championship. You failed to win King of the Ring. You won a War Games match after Adam Cole did most of the damage. You won the Royal Rumble from number 1, surviving over an hour. Wow, but a lot less impressive when you look at the fact you spent most of that time sat in a corner and in that hour eliminated a grand total of 2 people, Kyle O'Reilly. I am sorry if your second-rate accomplishments do not impress me. They never have. They never will. You are not good enough, Kyle. I am the former Universal Champion. I am the WWE Champion. There has only been 5 months since I got called up onto the main roster where I did not have a world championship around my waist, and that is because I am the goddamn best at what I do, Kyle. You are not on my level. Nobody is on my level. Adam Cole is the pinnacle of this business, and at WrestleMania, there is no more lifeboats. At WrestleMania, this is sink or swim, and Kyle O'Reilly is gonna drown out there, because in the spotlight of the main event of WrestleMania, Kyle, I promise you will fail and I will shine, because I am Adam fucking Cole, baby. And Kyle O'Reilly, clearly hearing enough, flipping the table into Adam Cole, shaking off Kyle, storming into him, the two men brawling it out in the ring. Kyle on top of Adam, reverses it. Adam on top of Kyle, fighting out. Security eventually trying to separate them, but Adam and Kyle beating off the security men and continue to go at it. Fight forever, the crowd chant. Members of the locker room eventually having to come out, separating them. Eventually, the ring pretty much filled. Them on opposite sides screaming at each other. This feud has reached a boiling point, and there's still 2 weeks to go till WrestleMania. Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly, a 100 for this contract signing segment. Oh, Cole and O'Reilly, the main event of WrestleMania, such high hopes. Will Kyle sink or swim? Can Adam Cole do what he failed to do at WrestleMania 37 and retain the world title in the main event of WrestleMania? We will have to wait and see. This episode of Raw, though, gets an overall rating of 91. Great episode. The matches all pretty good. The segments amazing, really helping the show, I think. Increased our pop in 14 regions. Yeah, very, very happy with this, as the build up to WrestleMania continues to be spectacular. And hopefully it will continue to do so next up with another episode of NXT. And NXT gets underway with the NXT champion Chad Gable and his WrestleMania opponent, his mentor Randy Orton, coming to the ring, and they call out Velveteen Dream's little group after last week, Orton beating Dexter Lumis in the main event, and then Dream going for Orton after the match. Gable stopping him, but still, Dream's little group have been a thorn in Gable and Orton's side for a few weeks now, and they want to sell it. Gable and Orton calling him out, and they come out, and Gable is shooting the challenge. Main event tonight, Chad Gable and Randy Orton versus the Velveteen Dream and Isaiah Swerve Scott 2-on-2 tag team match, which Velveteen Dream and Isaiah Swerve Scott accept. The main event set, the NXT champion Chad Gable and Randy Orton versus the NXT North American champion Isaiah Swerve Scott and the Velveteen Dream for a 100 here. For next up, we have a match set up building for a little bit at least here between Austin Theory and Timothy Thatcher. Theory eliminating Thatcher last to win the Battle Royale to qualify for the Chamber. Thatcher stealing Theory's place on the Chamber by attacking him. Theory costing Thatcher a match last week. Thatcher's endless quest after William Regal. Now Austin Theory in his way. And in the end, between Austin Theory and Timothy Thatcher, Austin Theory with the upset here. Rolling Timothy Thatcher up, hooking the tights as well. The referee not seeing him. Austin Theory getting a huge win here over Timothy Thatcher for a 77. Good opening match. 64 Theory, 72 Thatcher. Happy with this. Theory picking up the victory in the end. And he can't believe it. Thatcher peed off behind him. Theory gets his arm raised as Timothy Thatcher then proceeds to try and break it. Snatching Theory down, beating him down, grabbing his arm, putting him in the Fujiwara armbar. Torquing it, turning it, Theory screaming in pain, tapping out for a 72 when William Regal, the general manager, storms out. He says he's had enough of this, gets in the ring with Thatcher, shoves him off Theory. Thatcher getting into Regal's face, and Regal saying, "You want me? Then you can have me next week for a 68. Regal seemingly challenging Thatcher to next week. Thatcher looking delighted at the prospect. He doesn't like William Regal for whatever reason. And it sounds like he may be able to get his hands on him against Regal next week. But it sounds like Regal may be able to get his hands on Thatcher as well. For that 68. Good match, good post segment. Happy with that. As then we go backstage for an interview. Kayla Braxton interviewing Dakota Kai, who made her return last week. Hadn't been seen since SummerSlam when Raquel Gonzalez took her out, but returned last week to come out and challenge Raquel Gonzalez, essentially. The woman who put her on the shelf. Dakota Kai said she has been waiting. She has been training and getting ready for this, to come back and to get revenge on Raquel Gonzalez and to finally win the NXT Women's Championship when she's interrupted by Mickie James. Mickie James saying that Dakota, you're not good enough. I mean, WrestleMania, massive event. I'm sure William Regal wants the NXT Women's title to be in a big match, and well, just Dakota Kai is not big, is she? No, Mickie James, future Hall of Famer, she's big, but Dakota Kai, not so much for 56. Later tonight, we will be seeing these two in action as Dakota Kai looks to prove Mickie James wrong. Dakota Kai versus Mickie James one-on-one later tonight. As then we have a six-man tag team match between, on one side we have Legado, the Cruiserweight Champion Andrade, and the Cruiserweight Tag Team Champions Humberto, Carrillo, and Santos, Escobar, taking on the team of Trey Griffin and the Men's Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic winners, the Mysterios. And in the end, it's Griffin and the Mysterios who get the win. Rey Mysterio and Dominik hitting Santos Escobar with a double 619, and Rey Mysterio picking up the pin for an 82. Good match here. Griffin and Mysterios getting the win over Legado in the end. Andrade can't believe it. 92 Andrade, incredible as always. 85 Rey, 71 Santos, 67 Humberto, 55 Trey, 45 Dom. Happy with this. As after the match, Rey Mysterio gets the mic and announces officially at WrestleMania, him and Dominik will be using their Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic winning tag title opportunity to face Legado for the Cruiserweight Tag Team titles for a 91. Big announcement, good match, good segment. At WrestleMania, it will be Legado versus the Mysterios for those Cruiserweight Tag Team titles. Then next up, it's time for Grayson Waller's hashtag trending birthday celebration. Hashtag trending getting in the ring. Ethan Page getting the champagne out, passing it around. All in a good mood. Grayson Waller saying, you didn't have to do this, guys. Ethan Page said, yes, we did. We needed a hashtag trending worthy celebration for your birthday, Grayson. And to that end, I got you a big surprise. That big surprise I mentioned, it's ready. It's here. Grayson, here you go. As yes, Logan Paul comes out. Grayson Waller's birthday surprise is the social media superstar Logan Paul. Logan Paul coming out to the ring. Grayson Waller partying out of his mind, to put it into internet speak. Very, very happy at this. Grayson Waller over the moon. Logan Paul saying he's a big fan. Logan Paul saying he's a big fan of hashtag trending. It's a pleasure to be here with them here tonight, as they're interrupted by DFG, Destined for Greatness, Carmelo Hayes, Anthony Ogogo, Eli Cassidy, Jade Cargill, Trick Williams, all coming out, interrupting Ethan Page, telling them to get out of here. This has nothing to do with them. You know, this is a sacred celebration, a hashtag trending birthday celebration at that. And Carmelo Hayes saying they just wanted to start by wish Grayson a happy birthday. We got champagne. I love champagne. Carmelo Hayes grabbing the champagne, taking a sip, saying that it tastes a little cheap, for throwing it into Ethan Page's face. Ethan Page can't believe it. Waller very annoyed at the interruption, going for Carmelo Hayes. A massive brawl breaking out between both sides, as Trick Williams ends up getting kind of knocked into Logan Paul, knocking him back. Trick apologising, Logan Paul saying that's okay, before knocking out Trick Williams, using that boxing experience, taking Trick Williams down. Anthony Ogogo seeing this and taking up section, storming towards Logan Paul. The two men butting heads, you know, like a fight will break out, start shoving each other, eventually being separated here for a 60. Big segment here, good segment. Grayson Waller's birthday celebration going wrong as you'd expect. His birthday surprise, Logan Paul knocking out Trick Williams. Anthony Ogogo taking exception to this fact. You have to think this will not be the end of this here. As next up, with the earlier announced match between Dakota Kai and Mickie James. Dakota Kai's first match since SummerSlam last year, and she picks up the victory with the chiropractor onto Mickie James for a 60. Good match, 57 Kai, 45 James. Happy with this. Dakota Kai picking up the victory in her first match back before being attacked by the NXT Women's Champion Raquel Gonzalez, storming into Dakota Kai. You know, I wanted to teach her a lesson about coming back, about interrupting her last week, when, of all people, Tegan Nox rushes out to make the save. Tegan Nox, Dakota Kai's former best friend. I mean, Raquel Gonzalez turned on Dakota Kai turned on Tegan Nox. Raquel Gonzalez made her debut to help Dakota Kai beat Tegan Nox. Raquel Gonzalez attacking Kai, Tegan Nox rushing out and making the save for her former friend here for an 84. I'm sure Kai is very thankful of that, you know, returning to NXT, returning to the face side of things, I guess you could say, with Raquel Gonzalez as the heel, and Tegan Nox making a save for her former friend. As then, another big segment, Damian Priest, as said last week, putting an open call out for whoever wants some. He's been getting attacked by the Cross, by the Fiend, by everyone. And he says, if you want me, come get me in the ring, issuing his call out, carrying Cross music hit, and carrying Cross storming down to the ring, Scarlett waiting at ringside as Cross gets in the ring and stares at Priest. When the lights go out, and when they come back on, the Fiend is behind Priest, and he kind of turns side on, looking at the Fiend, looking at Cross, ready for a fight, as the lights turn out again, and when they turn back on, the demon Finn Balor is in the ring as well. And all the men kind of looking at each other, and the Fiend going for the demon Finn Balor. The Fiend and Balor fighting each other previously, of course, as Priest and Cross go for each other. Oh, a massive brawl. All four men fighting it out with each other, really. A 100 for this, as you expect. Great segment. All four of these guys going for each other here. Fighting out, eventually having to be... Oh, God, how do you even separate these men, to be honest? Eventually, it winding down. Are we ending here? Before, next up, we have a match which should be really good, in theory, between AJ Styles and John Morrison. AJ Styles continuing to try and show William Regal that he should represent NXT at Battle of the Brands, and does pick up the victory on over John Morrison in his pursuit of it, with the phenomenal forearm for an 89. Good match, as you'd expect. 89 Styles, 68 Morrison. Happy with this. AJ Styles getting the victory in the end. As then we go backstage to an interview with DFG, Destined for Greatness. Kayla Braxton asking them about earlier tonight. Carmelo Hayes saying that hashtag training wanted to mess with them. They had to mess with them as well. Trick being checked out backstage. But next week, I'm coming for you. Next week, Ethan, we do this again. And no amount of cheating, no amount of whatever, of underhanded tactic use, none of it is going to help you beat me this time. For a 79, Hayes issuing a challenge to Paige next week. Will he accept? It continuing to boil over between DFG and hashtag trending. Before we go to AJ Styles going to William Regal's office. William Regal, a lot going on tonight, obviously. But AJ Styles saying to William Regal about Battle of the Brands again, and Regal says, you know what, next week you'll have a proper chance, AJ, a qualifier. Next week we'll do a big qualifier match. The winner can represent NXT in Battle of the Brands. Now, if you don't mind, I got a lot to be getting on with for an 80. Good segment. AJ Styles on all cylinders. Very good, isn't he? Before it's time for the main event. On one side, we have the NXT champion, Chad Gable, and the NXT champion, #1 contender, Randy Orton, his mentor, taking on the team of the NXT North American champion, Isaiah Swerve Scott, and the Velveteen Dream. And at one point in the match, Scott and Dream kind of taking by Dream, the legal man, tagging in Scott, then going for a tag team move, you know, hitting it, high-fiving, Scott taunting the fans and turning around into a super kick from the Velveteen Dream, laying out Isaiah Swerve Scott, kind of laughing at him and just waving down as he tells Dexter to get out of here. Him and Dexter Lumis leaving, Dexter Lumis holding the NXT North American Championship of Isaiah Swerve Scott. Isaiah Swerve Scott staying in this, trying to fight out of it. At one point, Orton accidentally hitting the RKO onto Chad Gable. He can't believe it. Very apologetic for Randy Orton of it. Scott going for Orton, setting up for that kick he does when the guy's on his knees, but when ducking underneath it, getting up and hitting an RKO onto Isaiah Swerve Scott for the win. For an 89, a great main event. A good show overall, I'd say. 88 Gable, 80 Orton, 77 Dream, 67 Scott. Happy with this. As then his music playing, but Orton focused on checking on Chad Gable. Still very apologetic about hitting him with that RKO for an 86. Good show, good ending. Orton and Gable getting the win, but Orton accidentally hitting that RKO on Gable. You know, the match at Mania coming closer and closer. Overall, though, this episode of NXT for tonight gets a 93. Another brilliant show. These shows on the final stretch of Road to WrestleMania have been slapping exactly what you want. Nothing but bangers on the road to WrestleMania. Increased our pop and 50 regions. Beautiful. And hopefully another banger is on the cards next up with an absolutely stacked episode of Smackdown. And Smackdown kicks off with a little scene showing the United States Champion Xavier Woods and Biggie both met whilst they're arriving by Kayla Braxton, asked about tonight. Well, they will be competing in the main event in a no disqualification match for the United States Championship. Big E getting asked first about it, and Big E says he's ready. He's seen the lengths Wood will go to in attacking him in their championship match at Chamber, getting himself disqualified. Now there are no rules, and Big E says he's going to enjoy knocking some sense into Woods. And he's saying it's quite simple. He's going to do what he always does, and that's outsmart and out-wrestle E and remain the United States Champion. For an 88, both men ready for their main event later tonight. We're kicking off things first of all with a match between Bianca Belair and Franky Monet. If Belair wins, then Franky Monet will join Aaliyah and Lana in being banned from ringside for Belair's $1 million championship match with Deonna Purrazzo at WrestleMania. And in the end, Belair does pick up the victory, hitting Monet with the KOD for the win for a 65. Decent match. 63 Belair, 49 Monet. Happy with this. Bianca Belair picking up the win. Bianca Belair getting Franky Monet banned from ringside, meaning that only one match left. Next week, Belair will take on Chelsea Green. If she wins, then Deonna will be out of Allies ringside, and it will simply be Belair and Purrazzo one-on-one for that $1 million title. Before we go backstage to Kayla Braxton interviewing Ruby Riott about last week. Ruby Riott attacking her former, at this point, tag partner Liv Morgan after their defeats to Charlotte Flair and Becky Lynch. And Ruby Riott says that she's had enough of being weighed down by Liv. They were women's tag champs because of Riott, and then Liv screwed it up, and Ruby says she cannot pretend anymore like everything's okay. Like the Riott Squad is okay, when all it is a noose around her neck at this point. When all Liv Morgan is a noose around her neck, a weight dragging her down. She refuses to be dragged down. This is Ruby Riott's time, and Ruby Riott's time has no room for Liv Morgan for a 73. Good interview here. Ruby Riott's done with Liv Morgan by the sound of it. Before next up, we have another big rematch. From Judgment Day last month. It is Bronson Reed versus Roman Reigns. Reed beating Jacob Falo last week says that he's going to get his hands on Reigns now, and he's going to beat Reigns again, just like at Judgment Day. But only this time, no The Rock interference, and this time, a Roman Reigns victory thanks to some Jey Uso distractions. The Usos and Fatu providing some distraction work. Reigns hitting a spear on Reed and getting the win for an 85. Really good match between these two. 91 Reigns, 80 Reed. Happy with this. As Roman Reigns picks up the win after the match, the Bloodline attacking Bronson Reed. Reigns telling him to hold him up whilst Roman Reigns sets up for the spear when out charges Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe's first appearance since Elimination Chamber, where he was found attacked backstage. Roman Reigns taking his place, and Samoa Joe charging to the ring and fighting off the Usos, fighting off Jey Uso. Roman Reigns getting out there before Samoa Joe can even get there, and making the save for Bronson Reed. Former rivals, but I mean, it appears Samoa Joe has an issue with the Bloodline. God knows what that could be for a 100. Good match, good post-match segment. Always good work from all these guys. Then we go backstage to an interview this time with the Women's Tag Team Champions, Naomi and Nia Jax of the Bloodline as well. And Naomi talking about Lynch and Flair, saying that Lynch and Flair are not a tag team. They're individuals. Individuals who constantly fight and argue in and out of a friendship. And if they even make it to WrestleMania, it doesn't matter. And Naomi will give a demonstration for that next week when she faces and defeats Charlotte Flair, showing that even if Charlotte Flair and Becky Lynch can coexist, it won't matter, because Naomi and Nia Jax are simply better than them. For a 91, good promo. Naomi very good on the mic here. Show going really well so far. Before next up, we have a member of the Bullard brand, LA Knight, accompanied by fellow Bullard brand members, Socrates Torres, Cameron Grimes, and the injured Alfonso Bourbon, still on crutches, taking on Otis and LA Knight, securing the win with the BFT for a 78. 77 LA Knight, 47 Otis, good match. And then after the night, Cameron Grimes gives LA Knight a mic. And with Torres, Bourbon, and Grimes behind him, LA Knight says, "Let me talk to you." LA Knight is ready for the big time. He's ready for his spotlight. He's ready for WrestleMania. And at WrestleMania, LA Knight needs an opponent. And there's only one opponent who will do. At WrestleMania 38, Dallas, Texas, the most stupendous two-night event in the history of sports entertainment, in front of 100,000 plus fans in attendance. LA Knight can only fight one man, and that man is you, John Cena. And so I'm issuing the challenge right now. WrestleMania 38, LA Knight versus John Cena. If you've got the balls, John, you'll accept and you'll let LA put on a show on the grandest stage. But be warned, John, if you do got the balls, if you do accept this challenge, then much like at the Rumble, this is going in LA Knight's favor, baby. Yeah. For an 89. Good match, good promo. LA Knight issuing a WrestleMania challenge to John Cena here. What will John Cena have to say to that? As then we go backstage to go back to interviewing Bianca, Belair, and Belair's in a good mood. It says she's beat Aaliyah, she's beat Lana, she's beat Monet. Next week she's going to beat Chelsea Green. And then at WrestleMania she's going to finish them off completely by beating Deonna Purrazzo and getting back her $1 million championship for an 86. Good promo. Bianca Belair obviously very good on the mic. The show going really, really well once again. Belair ready for that match with Green next week. Ready for Purrazzo at WrestleMania. As then we get ready for the penultimate match this evening as the steel cage is lowered. Ronda Rousey making her entrance. No Mercy making their entrances. Rousey and Sonya both getting into the cage for an 83. Ready for this fight. No interference from Baszler and Conti. Rousey, in her words, her playground inside the cage here with Deville. And in the end, Rousey picks up the victory with an armbar by submission for an 87. Another really good match. 93 Rousey, 69 Deville. Happy with this. As Ronda Rousey does get the win. And then after the match, Ronda Rousey staring down with Shayna Baszler for Shayna Baszler and Tay Conti leave up the ramp for an 89. Yeah, good pre, good post, good match in between as well. Happy with this. The show going really well before it's time for the main event for the United States Championship in a no disqualification match. The champion, Xavier Woods, defends against his former New Day brother, the former Universal Champion, Big E. Big E and Xavier Woods colliding for the United States title at Elimination Chamber. Xavier Woods getting purposely disqualified, so losing the match but retaining his title. Big E not too happy with that, and Paige giving them this match right now in the main event. No DQ, Woods versus E. And in the end, Big E is managing to get Woods onto his shoulders, going for the big ending when, in a much too familiar sight, a lead pipe is smashed into his back. Him dropping Woods as Mustafa Ali, holding the pipe, smiles on as Woods smiles at him before running, bouncing off the ropes and hitting Big E with a Shining Wizard for the victory. Winner and still United States Champion is Xavier Woods for an 83. Following that interference from Ali, 85 Big E, 75 Woods. Happy with this. Xavier Woods coming out on top after the match. Woods and Ali attacking Big E when out rushes Kofi Kingston, storming down into the ring, fighting off Ali. Woods getting out of there for an 88. As Paige also comes out and announces she's had enough of all this. So here's the deal. Next week, there will be a tag team match. It will be Xavier Woods and Mustafa Ali versus Big E and Kofi Kingston. And if Xavier Woods and Mustafa Ali win, then Woods, you can pick your WrestleMania opponent. Xavier Woods very happy at that. But if Big E and Kofi Kingston win, then at WrestleMania, you will defend your United States Championship against both of them in a triple threat match. Woods not so happy about that for an 88. Big announcement from Paige. A massive tag match next week. Woods and Ali win. Woods gets to pick his opponent. If Big E and Kofi Kingston win, then it will be the faction formerly known as the New Day in a triple threat match for the United States Championship at WrestleMania. Massive announcement from Paige. And that tag match is not all, as next week is another sacked episode of Smackdown. We have that tag match. We have the Usos, who will be taking on the team of Bronson Reed and Samoa Joe. We have one half the women's tag champs, Naomi, taking on Charlotte Flair. We have Bianca Belair taking on Chelsea Green. If Belair wins, Greenspan from ringside like the rest of Deonna's group. Another stacked Smackdown to look forward to for a 90. Yeah, Smackdown's going really well in the build-up to Mania. All the shows are. I'm very happy. As it's time for the final segment of the night, it's time for the Universal Championship contract signing. Keith Lee coming out, Thaddeus Billard coming out, accompanied by Paul Heyman. And Keith Lee starting saying that he's ready. He's waited for this moment all his life. He's been ready for what feels like a lifetime. The opportunity in front of 100,000 fans in attendance, in front of the millions and millions watching around the world, for all of them to bask in the limitless glory of Keith Lee as he finally climbs to the top of the mount, as he finally pulls down that brass ring, as he finally becomes a world champion, the Universal Heavyweight Champion on the grandest stage of them all, WrestleMania. He was born for this moment, and it's oh so close now. Keith Lee signing the contract, as Bullard kind of laughs and says, Keith, they cheer you, they love you for a time, but then they'll turn on you. They'll grow sick of you. A new shiny toy will appear, and they'll clamor for him to climb to the mountain, to grab that imaginary brass ring and to beat you. Because, Keith, these people don't care. Keith, I spent my entire career waiting for this moment. I was made to be a joke. It was only when I took control of my own destiny that I achieved what I've achieved. A year as Intercontinental Champion, the undefeated Universal Heavyweight Champion. I did all of that. And you, Keith, you're good. Hell, your potential may as well be limitless. But you, Keith, you don't have the desire I do. You don't have the hunger that I do. Keith, you're not willing to do the things I'm willing to do to keep this Universal Championship. And that's why you'll fail. Because, Keith, I was made to be a damn joke for too long. And I've held this title for too little an amount of time to lose now. So when I finally get my spotlight at WrestleMania 38, when I finally get my opportunity in a world title match on the grandest stage, Keith, the only thing anyone will be basking in is the limitless glory of your... And then Bullard smiles before handing the mic to Paul Heyman, who smiles back and says, reigning, defending, undisputed, undefeated, Universal Heavyweight Champion of the world, Thaddeus Bullard. As Bullard signs the contract as well. The match official and set, WrestleMania 38, Thaddeus Bullard versus Keith Lee for the Universal Championship. And Bullard and Heyman both leaving the ring before any blows can come out. Keith Lee standing in the ring, basking in the cheers from the fans for a 100. Great show, great contract signing. Hopefully a really good match between these two at WrestleMania. As overall, this week's episode of Smackdown gets a 90. Another really good show. All the shows in this final stretch to WrestleMania seem to be on steroids. They've been incredible. I'm so pleased. Increased our pop in for all regions. Amazing. As another week gone, another week closer to WrestleMania we get. I hope you've enjoyed. If you have, then leave a comment down below. What are you most looking forward to at WrestleMania as we get closer and closer, as the match card finalizes a little bit more? Leave a like whilst you're down there and subscribe to the channel for more updates on this series as we get closer to WrestleMania. You will not want to miss a thing. And as usual, I just want to say thank you for watching.